Hispanic or Latino, 17% Black, 4% Asian, and other or non was 1. So you were way off.
That is so inaccurate. I don't know where you got that shit. Give me the link for that.
Well, sir, you said you didn't have the information to back up your statement. So how do you know it's inaccurate?
Because 99% of the people on here are Black.
99% of the people in this room aren't even Black.
99.
Sorry, sir.
Maybe then again, you're just attracted like a fly on fly paper to the Black rooms.
Okay.
Hey, next, just a random question. Have you ever experienced like any head trauma or had a brain scan?
Yes.
Alrighty then.
Now it makes sense. And by the way, I forgot, Kitty, thank you for the information. I believe your statistics are correct. Thank you.
It's at all because I fucking could see it with my own eyes. And hear
The
it.
statistics she listed were from 2019.
There are two.
Hold on, next. Hold on, everyone, hold on. Next, can you tell me what the racial breakdown of this room is?
Alright, let me see. I can tell by the usernames. We scroll down.
How about I'm not a cat? We'll start there. Human girl.
Tell by the usernames. You can tell by the usernames. Fascinating.
Yeah. Mojo is a Black guy. Right?
Well, you're one for one. There we go.
For 100 though, because I got it. 79%.
79.1.
79% are white and 79% are white.
How many of them are part of the feline messages from the cat? You know? Nice.
Got it. Louder in that group.
Next, do you see Black people?
I see you're getting it.
Those numbers, I think you guys recorded it from a long time ago, but I think it's more like 60% Black now.
Mojo, are you a Black person? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Is that you on your camera? No. Right.
Yes.
When did you pick up? What was the occasion?
This was a fun outfit for a fun day. You would have had a lot of fun at this event.
Since the event took place in Shakey's, right, Mojo?
So what was the occasion?
It was a black. It was a black
Okay, but when you feel that people were racist if there was an all-white barbecue?
No. I believe that white people are allowed to barbecue too. I'm not a racist.
Oh, you believe they're allowed to barbecue?
Yep.
Nice of you. Open-minded you are.
Well, thank you. I tried.
Yeah.
Okay, let me ask you a question next. Hold on, next 1 second. Let me just ask you a quick question.
You just give us money, you said axe.
Oh shit.
You don't need working in the city. You have a problem with that?
I don't even know what you're talking about.
We just told you in one sentence. If there was a community barbecue at a park in the city near you, that said white barbecue only.
Oh, that sounds flavorless. I would probably pass.
Okay, but would you have any?
Well, yeah. I mean, like, maybe if I showed up, I'd bring some seasoning. Roger, you have to bring White Claw hard seltzer.
There, so they would say, hey, here's a white barbecue only, right? So you ain't gonna bring shit over there.
Why not?
What are you cool about?
Does anybody know what this guy's talking about?
I'm making a point, and you're so goddamn naive, you can't even fucking see what I'm getting at.
Holy shit. Alright, I stand corrected. Go ahead. Educate me.
Well, you have a problem with that.
Would I have a problem with people of white
Sign said white barbecue whites are welcome, no other purple.
Oh, man. No, I feel like they're entitled to the white barbecue. Just like I'm entitled to my black barbecue.
Okay, so do you believe in segregation?
I think it's a bad idea. I think it's better to allow people to be free to associate with whoever they want.
Next, if we could maybe pass the mic around, I think your questions are a little irrelevant at this point. So as a leader and a mod in this room, I would just like to ask that maybe you pass the mic around. Does anyone else have any questions with regards to the campaign to elect John Kitover, the 16th District of Congress?
Yes, sir, I do. My question is about the governor of Illinois. I don't want to say that one, but the guy that, is helping run it into the ground and seemingly for really progressive ideals. He's been recently in an interview, and I can post the link on Big Press, talking about, I don't exactly know whether or not I don't want to cancel out the idea of running for president in 2028. So his political values and ideology, very progressive, wouldn't align with me or my family. There would be a lot of back and supporters of you, John. So what is your thoughts on the governor? However, his name, that dude. And then if that aligns with what they're going for.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Governor Pritzker in the state of Illinois. He borrows, he spends too much. His culture, his communication, I think, is extremely detrimental to the young people in Illinois, especially with regards to trans prepubescent surgeries. I'm not a big fan of Governor Pritzker.
He's for abortions. I call it baby murdering. But are you?
No, I do not support abortion, and I think spending $1 billion a month and killing 60,000 children in this country monthly is ridiculous. And instead of spending, $15,000 to $20,000 per abortion procedure, we should give that check, or give the opportunity for the woman to receive a $10,000 to $15,000 check to have the baby, as opposed to giving that money to an abortion provider. That's my opinion.
Let me ask you a question. We do not have a sustainable birth rate in this country. We're not having enough babies. I ask you this. Here's the life. Would you be open to and commit to impregnating constituents to do
No, Scott.
repopulate the
No.
country? No?
No.
You would not do it. If a constituent wanted you to impregnate them, you would not be open to it.
I would, if they were looking for some type of, sperm donator, I would refer them to either you or NECRA. Would you like to be the official sperm donor campaign of any beautiful young woman who is interested in having a
I
child?
would do what I did for Kitover for Congress because I believe that you are the best for this country right now, John. If I had to do that, I would do it for you and for the campaign and for America.
Well, you already said you're on Tinder, right? So when you do that, if you found the right woman.
No, I don't use Tinder. I use Hinge and sometimes Bumble.
Oh, okay. Well, when you impregnate the woman, you,
Stand by next.
I got a question for Scott. Scott, are you there?
I'm here, Jim. I'm here.
Do you think you could talk to Mr. Jerry Bumgarner and see if we could get John Kitover to be interviewed by Gary Bumgarner? You think that's possible? I mean, he sounds like a guy that's interested in hearing about American politics. And maybe if you elect John Kitover, maybe that could be the topic of a room, and you can line up electrifying speakers in the room like Seth.
Mojo, I'm gonna call you up for putting a black man on your fucking profile picture.
Hey, next, first, I got a serious question. John, next. John, who are we running against, and what are you bringing to the table that they're not?
Sure, I'm running against Darren LaHood. He's a former federal prosecutor. He's a special appointment to this congressional seat as well. he has essentially created $20 trillion in debt at the federal level on behalf of his constituents in the 16th district and on behalf of the United States of America. He's a can kicker. I want to crush the can, stop the borrowing, stop the spending, and I'm bringing a fiscal prudence and a fiscal conservatism to the 16th district of Illinois. I want to lower their property taxes. I want to lower their income taxes, their state income taxes, their federal income taxes. He doesn't talk about that. He just talks about how he can get Pfizer, Moderna, J&J, Comcast, AT&T, more funding. So rural broadband at $70 billion when you don't need to install fiber or high-speed internet lines in rural Illinois when people can just get Starlink. That's a much better and cost-effective way to get high-speed internet to your house as opposed to running wire to the middle of nowhere. So it's that's the approach that I can bring, and I think the voters recognize that a lot of fraud, waste, and abuse, and borrowing and spending is happening on their behalf, and they're not voting for that.
John, you just said a few minutes ago that you would endorse paying a woman not to have an abortion $12,000 or $14,000. I'm assuming you were serious, right?
Yeah, as Scott said, we have a birth rate crisis in this country, and I think if a young woman would rather have a check instead of that money going to an abortion provider, I think she should be entitled to get that check. That's my opinion.
Thank you. I wasn't finished. Thank you. Here's my question. Prior to COVID 5 years ago, it was documented by multiple sources, I'm sure you've seen some of them, that the cost for raising a child from birth until 18 was $250 grand. I would estimate, and this is only my personal estimation, that's gone up from $250 to $350 or $400,000. Since you just spoke about being fiscally responsible, is it fiscally responsible that if a woman wants to have an abortion because of she's not ready for it or can't afford it, that the taxpayers of your district should pick up the tab to the tune of $350 or $400 grand? Thank you.
So, it's the same thing with Medicare and Medicaid. There's a lot of Medicare and Medicaid recipients who would much rather have that $15,000 that is allocated to them annually in the direct form of a check, but instead it goes to the medical provider. So same thing with abortion. I think the voters would recognize that they would rather see the option for the woman to have that $15,000 check as opposed to her abortion provider or hospital group that would get that $15,000. Now, in terms of raising the whole child at $300,000, Steve, nobody is talking about paying for this person's life, till 18. So I don't know where you're getting that. I'm saying we have a birth rate crisis in this country, and to give people options to have life as opposed to death, I'm all for life, not death.
Well, where I get those numbers is arguably going on Medicaid, having low-cost housing, going on food stamps, going on welfare, rather than going to college or going to a vocational trade school, getting educated, and being a self-supporting tax-paying citizen. Arguably, you're committing someone to spending time to raising the child, which is going to be paid for by the state. That's where I got those numbers from.
But Uncle Steve, the average first child born today, right, over their lifetime, will pay in excess, it's estimated, of $500,000 in taxes. So if they pay in $500 grand, don't we make money on every kid that we have?
Yeah, but that would be after the first 18 years, and John was just talking about his opponent who's kicking, I'm going to paraphrase, kicking the can down the road. What you just described is a classic example of kicking the can down the road.
Trump also said he would give a tax credit for anyone who had babies in 2025 or soon thereafter. So isn't that also doing the same thing?
I was just asking the candidate a legitimate question, that's all.
I don't know the statistics. I'd like to look up, maybe you know them, Steve, but I'd like to know what the ratio is as far as the number of now over the age of 65, which I think now the retirement's going to move, unfortunately, up to 72, but of baby boomers to my generation, or even younger, they're 22. to like the airport, my mom, for example. But like, I don't know. That would be one thing I'd like to look into. And if it keeps going down that path, and it is uneven, and I'm saying on the side of more senior citizens than there are to tax-paying people under the age of retirement, that's a problem. That's
Are you asking what Social Security pays? Because that I know.
No, honey. What I'm asking is.
Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Well, I guess in a nutshell, what I'm saying is, if we look at how many people are getting to the age of retirement right now, meaning they will not be paying into taxes, and my age or younger, or actually let's just say anything under that, and we look collectively from 18 to not retired, what's the scale there?
But Social Security is taxable income.
Right.
Not
What I'm saying.
any more.
Alright, hold on. The last thing we need is an interruption from the lectures. Mute your goddamn mic. Want me to mute it for you? Okay. Fine. Jesus Christ. Alright. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So here's what we're gonna do. It's 6:40 Pacific time. In the next 20 minutes, I want to challenge everyone. I want to challenge myself. I want to see if the challenge can be accepted at 19 minutes. 19 minutes to go to the link that's up above, to fill out the form, to give what's on your heart. But before you go to that link, before you press that button to go to the link, I want you to pray to the deity of your choice for them to put it on your heart how generous you should be. Should your deity tell you to put $1? Give $1. If your deity tells you to give $10, then give $10. If your deity says, hey, you've got a lot more to give, you should consider giving more, then I want you to listen to the spirit that resides inside you. But I want you to say that prayer before you click that link. So say the prayer. I'll say it with me, everyone. Dear Heavenly Father, I want you to please guide me. Guide me to the wise decision on how much to fund John Kitover's campaign. I might not have much, but I trust in you, Lord, and I trust in John Kitover. Can you just put it on my heart how much? Just tell me a specific dollar amount. Is it going to be $1? Is it going to be $10, $100 or more? Whatever it might be, I want you to put it on my heart, and I want you to put it on my heart now. And I'm going to click that link. So now, can I get an amen? Can I get an amen?
Amen.
Okay. There we go. Perfect. So now that we've got that out of the way, now that we've got God on our side, now that we've got John Kitover on our side, can we all go click on that link? And then let's just let the Spirit move us. And then after the Spirit moves us at the top of the hour, 7 o'clock Pacific time for me, 10 o'clock Eastern for some of you, we'll go ahead and we'll figure out how much money the Lord put on your heart collectively.
But now.
Can I ask a candidate a quick question?
Yeah, for the atheist mojo, what would you be doing?
Hold on. Listen, if the atheists want to borrow a god for this exercise, they can borrow mine. It's a deist. He's very non-interventionist. He's like a clockmaker. You can borrow mine. But Howard's got a conversation here that he wants to have. I want Howard to go. Howard, by the way, is one of the most thoughtful people on this app. I thought he was the highlight of the critical thinking forum. And so, Howard, what is your question for the future congressman?
Oh, Mojo, I appreciate that feedback. Yeah, future congressman, I know also in your party, there's another candidate in an adjacent district, that being Mark Rice. Could you talk about your support or the differences between your candidacy and Mark Rice? Is it similar, different? I'm just curious.
I think it's probably very similar in terms of like fiscal conservatism and stance on Israel and being America first. And I know him and I know his son, and I think they're, both patriotic and very political and social and kind and generous and loving people. Why are you asking about Mark Rice, Howard?
No, again, and I'm not in your district. I am a former resident of the state, though, but I'm now in Arizona. But I just know Mark's been also on this platform, and it just sounds like there's some similar parallels. And I was just curious if there's any cross-functional support, or if it's someone, because you guys are
quasi squad that you and him are forming?
No, I mean, it's pretty independent, everybody runs their own ship, and I did send this antidote link above for the campaign to elect John Kitover to Mark and Max today, and guess what? They both gave me $50. So, they are, they're incredible people. I mean, they love their country and they're Jewish and they love Israel as well. And, Jews in America today are under attack. And you can go on this app and you can go on X and you can hear the absolute insane vulgarity, profanity, and homicidal ideation nonstop by very sick people on this app that are very violent. And they're not peace creators, they're not meditators. These are ruthless manipulators, disinformation activists. They're very dangerous, in my opinion. And, it's up to you to listen to it, record it, and notify the FBI. That's my opinion.
Thank you, and certainly I wish you best of luck.
Thanks, Howard.
John, do you think we can get Mark Rice to come in here and say a few words?
I can text him, but I don't know what his schedule is or what he's doing. I can text him.
Yeah, just ping him and just say that we've got a nice little money bond going on. Tell him you appreciate his support and that people here might want to hear from him and that maybe we could set up a future money bond for him.
Yeah, 100%.
So I believe you're a Cubs fan. Do you think that you could reach across the quote unquote baseball aisle to my family and friends that are on the south side of Chicago for the Sox people? Just curious. No pressure.
Yeah, this is a fair weather city, politically speaking. People love their White Sox and they love tailgating, and I love the Irish, and I love the Germans, and I love the Serbians, and I love the Croats, Chicago has everybody. I just went to the Serb festival the other day, and I sent it to my dad. He said, "Why are you sending this?" I said, "It's the Serb fest." He says he had to look it up. He didn't even know where Serbia was. So, people's geography is not all there, and Chicago is such a diverse town of people. It's incredible. It's always been like this.
I love hearing you talk like that. That's awesome. About a very cool city that is getting ran into the ground, and I really hope that you can do cool stuff for it.
Yeah, I'm doing it. I'll tell you, X is an amazing platform. There's a lot of political activists in Chicago that want to flip it red, and they're African Americans, and they're really doing incredible work, real investigative journalism into essentially the fraud, waste, abuse, the borrowing and spending, the never-ending schemes and scams to suck more taxpayer revenue into nonprofits, millions of dollars just disappearing into nonprofit, politically connected bank accounts, things like that.
So I want you to address in the chat. Elena DePeta says, loser. And I think that was cast in your general direction. I wonder if she's in your state, I believe. Wait, hold on. She clearly was talking about Nex, who's in the audience. I didn't know she was talking about. Ask me Nex that she's referring to. I don't know. All right. I'll let her clarify that in the chat. I don't know who she's.
John's just trying to get John to breathe, I think.
Harry, can we count on your support for John Kitover for Congress?
Of course, I'll definitely support John. I think John's a great guy.
Awesome. Well, we have 12 minutes, and we're going to do a roll call. We're going to take a look and see how much money that we've tallied up, and we're hoping that within the next 12 minutes, the spirit of generosity pours over your heart, and you click on the link and you give what you can. And if you don't have any money, if you could just share this on your social media, share it with all of your family and friends that love the country, are patriotic, that want to see us reduce the debt, which is now $37 trillion. John Kitover is your friend.
So I pinged Mark Rice to see if we can get him in. I messaged his son that, we want to fundraise for them as well, maybe in this opportunity, because he is also running in Congress, I'm not sure the district number, but the guy he ran against before, his name is Raja Krishnamurti, and this is another super debt creator who has upgraded from Congress, who is now running for the Senate. He blankets the television advertisements and spends millions. He's got over $6 to $10 million in Fortune 500 and PAC donations, and he blankets the airwaves with his "I will stop Trump," "I will fight Trump," that type of messaging. So he plays the contrarian to Trump, and it works well in the media, and he'll probably win his Senate race. But he's another charlatan, just like a lot of these people, and he doesn't really care about your taxes, about your property taxes, your income taxes. He just wants to spend more billions for his donors. So those are the types of people that I'm standing up against. And if you don't know who I am, I have recorded Clown House for 5 years. I'm very transparent. I record everything I do. I go to the gym and I record myself working out. I come here and I listen to you and I record myself listening to you. So if I can get into office, I will be fully transparent, and I would like to keep a connection with you, the Clown House user, who wants your voice to be heard. And all the constituents in the 16th district of Illinois who don't even know about me yet, but because of you and we have enough money, we'll be able to buy ads on Google or Facebook, and hopefully we can get some messaging to them. They too will know that I've got their back. So sorry for rambling. Go ahead.
No, hey John, I think Mark's Illinois 8th.
Okay, John, let me ask you a question. What is your first thing? Like, Donald Trump said, day one, I'm going to do this and that. What is the first thing you're going to do on day one? It's the most important thing.
I would like to go to the Peoria Civic Hall in Peoria, Illinois, which is the second largest city in the 16th district outside of Rockford, or go to the Rockford Amphitheater and live stream Clubhouse to voters in the 16th district of Illinois that helped get me into office, so they know that there is this grassroots, domestic and international campaign to eliminate the borrowing, spending, fraud, waste, and abuse. So it would be communication. That is, my primary function and role as a congressperson is to provide education, communication, transparency, and insight into the fiscal crisis that Darren LaHood has plunged them into in terms of a future spiral, debt spiral.
Will be an issue of things that need fixing. What is the tools and stuff you're going to use to fix things that need to be fixed?
Freedom and transparency. That's the optimization. If we want to improve the economy, we need more freedom, less taxation, and less government spending. Again, all I can tell you is I'm no magician, even though I like to pretend I'm one. I just believe in communication and education and transparency. If I can achieve that for the people of 16 and be a leader and set an example for a lot of the frauds and charlatans in Congress and in the Senate, I will be doing my role and duty that I promised to do as a candidate.
The current governor already has the funds. It's not as transparent, but the money's there. It's just going to, you can explain it better, John, right?
Well, hold on. Before he does, I want to make an appeal to every single person in the goo. People that typically don't come up, like the Randys and the Darrens and the Wallace, Ida, Sean, America, Mike, Curtis, LS, Abby's down there. Hopefully we can get some of the people from the goo to raise their hand, to get up on this stage and share this moment. Share the moment that we're going to have here with the Congressman, because in 7 minutes, we're going to look at how much money this generous group of people has generated. And we want to welcome you to the stage. I'm going to move you down because you've interrupted me, and I'm not bringing you back up. Congratulations, you don't know how Clubhouse works. Mike Moon, you should come up here. I'm sure you got questions for the future Congressman. Let's see here. We're gonna get some people up here. Okay.
Just send somebody to you, John.
Oh, Pockets has questions. Pockets, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, I disappeared for a minute. It was special for work, but when it comes to I know you said you wanted to lower property taxes, lower taxes in general in that district, but I'm just wondering if you know what funds the schools, what funds the fire departments, what funds the
Oh, I
small
know, it's
businesses.
the property taxes. It's 65 to 75% are going to teachers, to the facilities that the teachers babysit these kids in and provide them wokeism education and CRT and DEI education. You know what? These teachers might have to start competing for your dollars as opposed to getting a monopoly on your dollars and sucking them from you every year like a parasite. You know, the American people are not hosts to be sucked at by vampires. It's your money, you should keep it.
Okay, okay. I don't answer, that's my point. If you have a problem with the curriculum, I would definitely go to the Department of Education when it comes to that. I don't think taxes and the curriculum as taught at schools has anything to do with property taxes and the schools. If you want to deal with the curriculum, deal with the Department of Education.
Yeah, I'll deal with the curriculum by dealing with the taxation. That's how I'll quickly eliminate the curriculum, I can assure you that.
Because you'll be eliminating the schools, right?
No, he's going to be eliminating the corrupt education boards that take taxpaying dollars that's going into what you're talking about, and then actually funding programs that support things like CRT and DEI and crap like that teaches my nieces and nephews how to be less educated rather than, at least the bare bones of reading, writing, and arithmetic. I mean, like, that's really important to me. And I know my mom would love to hear that. Pass that around to everybody in the state. Like, that. John, I think you're doing great things.
Hey, John, what is the state income tax in Illinois?
You know, it just depends on your income bracket, but I mean, generally 30 to 40%, like most other places in the country. Oh, you're talking about state income taxes?
Yeah, because I mean, I live in Florida. We don't have a state income tax here, so I'm just wondering what it's like over there,
Yeah,
and
it's
possibly how much you can cut it. I mean, I don't know.
you're combined. With state income. Let's say you're looking at 10%, and federal you're looking at 30%, and it's generally higher than that. So it's in the 40 to 50. It's very high here. State of Illinois state income taxes are way too high, and the state taxing authority is a bitch to deal with. They shouldn't even exist. It should be like Florida. So, I know people that get audited. I've had problems with tax contributions, and it's a never-ending compliance nightmare. It's a big burden for your average worker to have to comply with all this regulation. The whole thing deals with compliance. There wouldn't be a compliance issue if these organizations didn't exist. These are jobs programs for a lot of people, and it takes a huge amount of money just to collect the taxes. So, at $37 trillion in federal debt and $200 billion in state debt, unless we start working smarter, not harder, and that means cost efficiencies, reductions, and setting new priorities. I mean, you're just going to kick the can down the road forever and just create a debt bubble spiral that's unsustainable. The time to say no is now.
I had somebody in pockets said in chat that they need to raise property taxes. Illinois already has one of the highest.
I didn't say raise. I said we need property taxes. I didn't say raise.
Let's suck out of the American working class so that they've got.
Hey, hold on. We've got less than 2 minutes till the top of the hour. I want to just give people that final nudge. If you haven't done it yet, look, this isn't a contest of who's got deeper pockets. This is a contest that can you do what the Lord has moved you to do? Can you just listen? Just listen. Quiet your mind and listen to what the Lord is telling you to do. Click on that link and donate to John Kitover.
So, John, I should have asked you this question because this was really the deal breaker, which is, do you share the same hatred I have of Nazis?
Yes, I do not like Nazis. I hate Nazis, and if I was ever confronted by a Nazi and felt physically threatened, I would punch that Nazi as hard as I could in the face to defend myself.
Good. I love that answer.
Necro. I love that you love that answer, but we have less than 1 minute for you to add to this money bomb. Can you please go race with time? Let's go do it right now.
Yeah, so this is the one question that would if he answers yes to his question, I will donate $3. John, would you pressure Trump, demand him that he drop the charges against Edward Snowden?
Yeah, I would encourage him to drop the charges against Edward Snowden and let it go. That would be my opinion.
Okay, well, you just earned yourself $3.
I mean, you could just write your congressman or woman that, in the letter and ask them to do that.
Okay.
Can we get a tow, John?
Sure. If you haven't given $1 or $10, 10 not 11, 10 not 9, make that donation now. We are now headed to our Gmail account to see what emails from Antidote we've gotten. 7:30, Kristen gave 5. 7:57, Jay Bresky gave another 20. After that, 8 p.m., we got another 20 from Jania Davis. And then at 8:54, another 20 from Erez Aarons. 170, 270.
What's the grand total?
Grand total is $280. No, wait, $380 now.
Okay, well, I'm not going to bed until we get it to at least $500. I think we can do 1,000, but we have to, at minimum, in order to call tonight a success, it has to be a minimum of $500. So that's about $120. If somebody wants to just put it over that threshold now, we could do that, and then what we could do is we could turn this into a celebration.
Okay, so I just donated 1%. I just donated 1% towards that 500 already.
Fantastic.
So, congratulations, you're $5.
Every dollar counts. Necro, thank you. Thank you for helping America.
Necro, when I go to sleep tonight and I say the Lord's Prayers, I usually do it before I go to bed every night. I'm going to ask the Lord for extra blessings for you, Necro.
Definitely. I mean, to me, it's like Edward Snowden. I would have given you $7 if you gave a straight yes to the first question I asked you. Because.
Can you ask it again?
Yeah,
So the question that I first asked was whether you would demand that Trump release the Epstein files.
Wait, did you say Edward Snowden?
No, I said Epstein.
I was going to make a joke. Anyways, thank you, Necro, for the money. I will use that money to buy ads, on Google and on Meta, and to organize on-the-ground door knockers to get these ballots signed, which is a very daunting and challenging task. I mean, it's not easy to walk up to somebody's door. Say what you want about Marshall Rankin, but walking up to somebody's door and randomly knocking on somebody's door to want to talk to them about politics, either you're stupid or you got big balls. And I'm willing to admit that Marshall's got big balls. So, never insult somebody who's willing to randomly knock on your door to talk to you about politics. And I've had my door knocked on by our local senator even. And I was like, what are you knocking on my door for? She's like, oh, I'm your local senator. I was like, oh my gosh, you're a real person now. I'll always remember you. So, I can't get to all these towns. There's about 600,000 people in the 16th district. And if you go to johnforcongress.com, you can see the top towns, and it will require a lot of work getting these signatures. So for every dollar you give me, I will match it. So if we've already hit $500 today because we've raised over $250. So any dollar you give me, I will match out of my personal bank account, and I'll be fully transparent. I'll even show you the receipts, and we will do this communication marketing endeavor together. It'll be the most fun you have on Clown House, I promise.
I'll tell you, if you get Trump to drop the charges against Snowden, that will be more than what I bargained for.
Got it.
Way more.
Or just room and board, every other expense.
Hey,
including
Rick.
Back home.
You want to give $1 to the campaign,
All
Rick?
covered. Room and board for a week, and all of the surrounding areas of on the south side of my mom and my aunts, my cousins, my brother, and his business and his businesses. I'll knock on every one of those doors, John, but not for free. I take care of me. Missouri is that. I'll I'll do that.
Kitty, what about bake sale? I hear you're incredible with cookies.
Yeah, but in Chicago, I do really like making cookies. But I don't think that's gonna, like, I mean, that's not really gonna work. I mean, maybe the South, but that's not gonna help him. Like, he needs people, like, physical people there, you know, on the ground. Or money. He needs money. Or he needs somebody to not, I can give out cookies. I can get some cookies out. I'd send you a whole mess of cookies, but that's just because you're my favorite black person on Zap. Mojo.
I love the patriotism that's in there. Everybody's willing to help. Harry, you were gonna say?
Listen, John could probably put some ads on eBay or something on Craigslist, or not eBay, sorry, Craigslist, and ask people to get ballots signed for them, you know, or I'm sure you can find people that will volunteer. Also, there's always people that are willing to volunteer if they actually really believe in your views and your cause.
Yeah, there's an organization called Young Americans for Liberty that we'll connect with to see. They have a trained group of young activists that believe in reducing the debt. And if they're available in his area, then you can basically, the donation money, basically he would make a donation to Dow, and then Dow would provide the door knockers. Those are really high quality door knockers. If we can't get Yao to get on the team, then I'll fly out to Chicago myself and train people. When I was working with the Libertarian Party, I trained door knockers that knocked at least 1 million doors in 2021.
He's got a spirit problem. You can hook me up, John, and you know that
Yeah,
I
I do have,
whatever you're talking. Yeah,
I can sleep.
No.
I can provide housing and an office to up to 4 people with this campaign.
Not that. Well, I'll talk to you later. I can probably figure it out. I'll be here. I got you, John.
You know, speaking of libertarians, I'm looking at an ex-post by Being Libertarian. It says the U.S. just hit $37 trillion in debt. When the Tea Party began protesting the national debt, $9 trillion sounded unbelievable. And then they wrote, "We are boiled frogs."
I'll connect you with the local libertarians out there. There's a mixed group. There's some that are like really lefty libertarians that won't help you very much, but then there's some on the right side. John, are you familiar with a networking organizer in the city of Chicago by the name of Tony D? He does Tony D events. Are you familiar with him?
Maybe. If I saw a business card, then probably.
Okay, I'm going to connect you with him as well. Typically it's business oriented, but he's starting to get more political, so I'll at least arrange a meeting so you guys can hook up and figure out how his network might be able to benefit you.
Yeah, I've met some libertarian leader here who passes out, 3x5 flyers at the local Polish Fest, and I liked him, but his body odor at that precise moment was a little overwhelming.
He's Polish, man.
Was that Dan Lewis by chance?
I'd have to go through my business card binder to find his business card. I can't remember his name. Well, if I could offer anything to you in this room, it would be to take the deepest breath of the day, hold it for 10 seconds, let it go, and say, fork it over for Kitover. Click that link above and give 10, not 11, 10, not $9 right now to the campaign to elect John Kitover. Your money has already been spent. We've put up 3 ads on Craigslist trying to find on-the-ground support and political consultants on a contract basis. Again, click that link above and give 10, not 11, 10, not $9 right now, so you can also enjoy this fun experience of trying to get on the ballot in March of 2026. This is your campaign. Speak up now or forever hold your peace. how would you describe what you typically hear in an Amir room? You know, the homicidal ideation, the I'm so glad October 7th happened, that was the greatest thing, praise October 7th, shit like that. When you hear people praising death, murder, chaos, like, how does that make you feel?
Honestly, it makes me feel very worried because some of these people are already here in America. And, you know, a prime example of those type of people is like that guy in Boulder, Colorado not too long ago. These are either sleeper terrorists that are here in the country or they're very, you know, organized together. And I think this is just a platform for them to organize openly in the public and recruit openly as well. So I think it's a very dangerous thing that, like, I guess they're being glanced over. And that was going to be one of my questions for you was, you know, what would you do if you did get to Congress? How would you combat this radical Islam movement we're seeing in America right now?
Well, there are two people I would call. One is your local IRS criminal investigator. And I would make sure that wherever that person is on the social audio of where they live, that IRS criminal investigator or that local FBI agent that trained at Quantico would go knock on that person's door and say, hey, we want to talk with you and we want to play you a recording. And, you know, conduct an investigation into this person's mental health status, whether or not, you know, he has a cache of weapons, what other communications they might be doing. You know, there's a lot of surveillance, covert, you know, the Stingray system. There's so many ways to find out what else, you know, they're communicating to see if they're involved in planning potential terrorist attacks or if they're just terrorist promoters. But, you know, I don't know what direct legislation can be used to limit people's freedom of speech, but when it comes down to planning attacks, you know, extremely vulgar and crude hate speech, I mean, just the social justice alone, or creating a Jew hate database website, or some type of government website to identify these people and call them out and get some social justice and social shame, you know, ushered upon them so their friends and family know that they're spewing and promoting hate speech. It's that type of activity which could have positive benefits.
I like that, Joe. I think that's a great idea, and I think more people should be involved in that and being alert because I think Americans are very, very much in a bubble and feel very protected by living here in this great country. So I think it's important that we all keep our eyes open, and that room is a prime example of that, and it's every single day, all day long. And they literally promote terrorism in that room. And that's a federal offense at that one point. You know, there's freedom of speech, there's a line between freedom of speech and breaking the law. So, and, you know, they're on a very fine, thin line there with some of the stuff that's being said. So, but yeah, I'm glad that you are aware of it and made other people aware, John, because I don't think a lot of people, like in these rooms, and JB's rooms, and Mojo's rooms, were aware of these people that are on this app. You know, a lot of people are just really designated to this side of the app and don't really see the terrorist side of the app, I guess you could say.
So looking at Thomas Massey's X account, he posted a video of his U.S. national debt clock, and he wrote, thanks to the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, the debt just officially passed the 37 trillion mark. Somebody wrote in the comments, I thought it happened last week. On the debt clock website, it's actually closer to 38 trillion now. Massey wrote, that website is inaccurate. My debt badge syncs to a website called fiscaldata.treasury.gov/datasets. So he's pulling from a Treasury API.
Would you be for having Doge in your state, like having them, you know, overlook county funding and, you know, state funding on local levels? I know here in Florida that they're starting to do that, you know, looking into county funding in certain counties here in Florida. So I was wondering if that's something that you would be opposed to or for.
100%. I think there's absolutely no transparency into the acquisition and purchasing process of our state. You know, I've worked at the federal level where I've used acquisition platforms to do contracting and make multi-million-dollar purchases on behalf of the federal government. And I can tell you that that information is not transparent at all for the taxpayers. I mean, if you're voting for Darren LaHood in the 16th district and you have no transparency whatsoever, you know, into how your vote is playing out into acquisition and spending and contracting. I mean, there's absolutely, your vote is not tied to any type of transparency outcome. So I think forensic accounting and transparency and posting a public ledger in terms of what the government is actually spending and allocating your tax dollars to should be a part of, you know, a blockchain, you might call it, and have real transparency on where your tax dollars are going and even how your vote correlates to that.
So, John, I just have a question. Who do you think would be the ideal candidate for 2020 at this point? Because in my opinion, the best one is Steve Bannon.
Is it his skin condition that you like so much? What is it about Steve Bannon that gets you so excited?
Just in general, what's one of the reasons why, to me, he's the kind of guy you can enjoy seeing on TV, regardless of whether or not you like him. He's, you know, a good entertainer, in my opinion. And that's kind of, to me, is like, to have like someone in MAGA, I think Steve, granted he actually arguably is the one who created MAGA itself. I don't think he would ever win, but I think he would be like the best option. He would be, to me, the most entertaining to watch.
Well, based on a survey on this app or that I saw on X, I think the number one vote was J.D. Vance.
Yeah, I saw it, but it's interesting though. Steve Bannon is higher than Ron DeSantis. I think Ron DeSantis is officially done with when it comes to the national level. He's kind of like Ted Cruz 2.0, essentially.
Well, I think that Steve Bannon news articles about him wanting to run for president, it's all fake news. You know, it's just clickbait, so I wouldn't worry about the necro.
Yeah, no, it's interesting though. I said in the chat that the Republican, I can see having some possibility of being the nominee, although I don't think she will be. The one I would see myself potentially voting for, and if she was on the ballot, I think it would be almost certain I would vote for her, but Tulsi Gabbard.
Yeah, people really like Tulsi. I think Kennedy will also make a run for the presidency.
Yeah, I mean, Kennedy, if he ran for president, I would have preferred that over in the health department, because it's like on every other issue, I agree with him, like on, you know, corruption and like on war and on housing, I agree with him on a lot of his issues, like.
Well, you know, the Medicare, Medicaid expenditure is out of control, and I would just encourage everybody in this room, you know, to take a deep breath, hold it for 10 seconds, and if you can stand up and lift your hands to the heavens and take a big stretch, lean to the right, lean to the left, lean back, lean forward, maybe touch your toes, stretch those hamstrings, because flexibility is very important. And you know what happens after a 25-year war, you know, where you invade multiple countries? Guess what? You get debt. And you know how populations deal with their economy after wars and pandemics? You gotta stay healthy. You gotta stay strong. You gotta exercise. You gotta stretch and breathe. Otherwise, we're never gonna be able to pay down this debt. That's why I need you as healthy as possible, so you can continue working for as long as possible, to keep paying into the taxation system, to
pay down the debt, even though we're not paying down the debt. We're just borrowing more on your behalf. But that's okay. I need you healthy and strong, flexible and ready to get back to work.
Reminds me of my impersonation of genius. It's like we need to incentivize more people to get involved in childcare. It's like, how do you do that? Well, grandma and grandma can help take it. This is like, it's like, how do you what about people who don't have the okay, good.
Okay, is there anybody else that wants to ask any other questions? Master, Pocket, Serendipity, Hakima, Harry, Daniel, Necro, Kitty, Nye, Mojo?
I'm curious, I don't know if you want to go down this path, but I'm curious what you did in the military.
Yeah, I went to the Citadel Military College of South Carolina. I have an undergraduate degree in business administration. I was magna cum laude, I think, 3.7, or is that just magna laude? I got a lot of scholarships while I was in school, and I ran for junior class president. While I was in school, I witnessed 2 planes bring down 3 skyscrapers in Manhattan on 9/11 while I was in the boathouse on the university about to check out a boat for the weekend. And I joined the Army National Guard in March of 2022. My college roommate came back to our dorm room and said, "Hey, I just signed a contract with the Army Department." I said, "Oh, what did they give you?" And so I said, "That seems like a pretty good deal. I can't have a job here and I gotta pay for tuition, so maybe I'll join the Army National Guard." I didn't do active duty, so they had something called an SMP program, Simultaneous Membership Program. That summer, I went to Fort Benning, Georgia, and did infantry training for 4 months, advanced infantry training, with a whole lot of soldiers from all around the United States, from every major city. Some people were there because they were troublemakers. Some people were there because they were gung-ho, patriotic Americans that wanted to defend this country from Islamic terrorists. And some people didn't even belong there, but they were there. And a lot of those people that I was with, and the training cadre that trained these thousands of people, were Gulf War veterans and Somali Mogadishu veterans. And those people went to Iraq and invaded Iraq and fought to the death to take over, Afghanistan and then Iraq. So I was infantry. I have the blue cord on my Class A's, and after that I went back to college and I studied abroad in Australia for half a year. Then I went back to Charleston, South Carolina, finished up my undergrad, got commissioned as an Army intelligence officer, and I finished up at Fort Huachuca, Arizona, working on linguistics and interrogations.
Are you polyglot, or do you know more than two
Nam nam and a bada shwe arabi.
By the way, John, are you also a Chicago native?
I am. I was born in Chicago, and my dad was a cop here for 30 years.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was almost born in Scotland.
Yeah, I'm gonna go tomorrow morning and see whatever I can do to help. And just let them know if there's anything, but she's really active in the church and stuff, and brother, one of my aunts, that's your bake sale people, no joke, but I'm rooting for you and for the city of Chicago.
Thanks. I know you're big into social media, so please follow me on X. I need as many followers as possible. Anybody in this room that has X, follow me right now. It's John Kitover, I-L for Illinois. That's John Kitoveril. Follow me there. And retweet some of the content I post. Retweet the donation link. And hopefully your friends and family, if you endorse me, we'll give $1 to $10 to $200 to $500. And then we can really have some fun. Because if we can spend money on advertising, and I'm willing to shoot the videos in a suit and a tie with my American Legion cap on in front of the American flag and read really interesting, intelligent, and maybe controversial statements that we can advertise to the voters in the 16th district and see how they respond to controversial statements. Like maybe the government shouldn't have spent $3 trillion on the COVID-19 vaccine response, or they shouldn't be borrowing $2 trillion a year and spending $7 trillion a year. So, saying things like that, or hey, want to lower your property taxes? Hey, want to stop paying so much state income tax and federal income tax? There's a lot of messaging and a lot of work that can be done, but without your dollars, creating all that content will never get seen unless we can go to Meta or Google and buy ads in the district. And I've been buying ads my whole life and doing media buying, so there will be no cost associated with buying these ads other than the actual clicks themselves.
Another question I have, John. What are your thoughts about JD? You're in the military. What are your thoughts about JD Vance's characterization of Tim Walz as a disgrace?
Incompetent. Incompetent.
Because I understand as much as you brought up that you disagree with him, would you think that's fair for him to be called a disgrace?
Maybe. I mean, JD Vance is a Marine, and Marines are pretty badass. So I would be less concerned about JD Vance, maybe more concerned about Pete Buttigieg, aka Booty Judge, who is a special appointment CIA officer who went to a 2-week indoctrination course, never went to ROTC, never did basic, never did any kind of advanced training, but there could be a DEI LGBTQ initiative for certain people if you perform a certain way and you are involved sexually a certain way. You might get special appointment preference if you are LGBTQ. I'm just saying.
Gotcha. It's interesting. It's like JD Vance is the one who's the most popular right now. But I just have a question. Like, who do you think, if he was to run against, if it was between him and Marco Rubio, as the Republican nominee, regardless of who win, who do you think would be more likely to win over the majority of the country?
It's not just if it's JD Vance and Marco Rubio, or Marco Rubio and JD Vance. I mean, who are the Democratic candidates? Is it California? What's his face with his hair, and somebody else? I mean, so. Anyways, Necro, like, I'm getting exhausted with the Q's and A's, and I've been on Clubhouse all day long, so my memory and my mind is not as sharp as it is in the morning at this point. But, I think just knowing that everything in America will work out and not to get fooled by the word game. I like to bring up the debt a lot, but I do thoroughly believe that we shouldn't fear money. We should fear we should be more concerned with the material world and less about the politics and the word games. But, in terms of the debt and inflation and empires and doing what is right, I don't think spending $2 trillion more than the $5 trillion we take in revenue here is a good way to continue to proceed. And if you look at the Doge analysis and all the screenshots from the SAP system that Larry Ellison owns, Oracle. Oracle is big in the government with all this contracting and all this acquisition, and Doge has screenshots. It's all DEI woke spending in Guatemalan climate change education. Like, Necro, why would you want to graduate from college, get a job for say $70,000 a year, pay about $30,000-$40,000 in taxes a year, and know that your money is going towards this wokeism education scam spending, which is getting close to being uncovered as $1 trillion a year, and they're still canceling billions of dollars worth of contracts that are across all these federal agencies. So the scam is being identified, and hopefully they'll be able to recover any money that has already been sent out. But Necro, do you think it's fair that as a voter, you don't have any say into how this money is being spent? Doesn't it make you angry?
I know that there's been concern a lot of people have had about what is being taught in the schools, things like that. I'm not really an expert. I concerns about, when, sexuality should be taught to children, I think. But in general, I just think a lot of talk about education. I mean, a lot of people, there's a lot of like fear mongering to be able to ban certain books that make certain people who are really white supremacists.
Well, do you know one of the only books ever banned by the federal government? Do you know the name of it, Necro?
I can't say that I do.
No, I'm sure there's a couple, but one of them is Irwin Schiff's The Federal Mafia, where he claims that the federal taxing authority is experiencing cognitive bias, or what does he call it? Hindsight bias, meaning it's not constitutional to tax us in the way that they're doing it. So he died chained to a concrete slab in a prison because he's a tax protester, and he fought the judiciary in tax courts. So, be careful who you pick fights with, because if they're more powerful than you, and lawyers and judges can chain you in a prison because you are complaining about the taxation, I mean, that's, pretty immoral and rather fascistic to kill you because you're not in compliance. So I'm just saying, Necro, taxation is extremely important. You haven't worked 20 years yet and paid your dues per se in terms of income tax. Wait till you do it. You're gonna regret every single filing, and you're gonna say, this sucks. It's a lot of money that you lose every month in your payroll tax and at the end of the year. So it's a big problem, and you don't even realize it yet because it's not transparent. You don't feel the borrowing and spending yet because we are the global reserve currency. So it's coming. The day of reckoning is coming, and if we bite the poison pill now and realize if we do change now, it's better than change. Maybe it's better than change in the future. I don't really know. It's hard to know what the optimal economic, process should be. But I just say, if you can't do it personally and just continue to borrow every single year unmatched with regards, to your revenue, I mean, it's just not ethical or moral. It's currency manipulation.
Yeah,
So anyway, Necro, I would say, the fear that I'm hearing from you is more about is it right to ban something like To Kill a Mockingbird that I think parents can there's plenty of time to do reading with your kids, but what would concern me isn't so much of the classics that they're pulling, that you're saying, the quote unquote classics they're pulling out of schools. I would be more concerned about, like the gender queer and things like that they're indoctrinating in the schools. That's really basically, I can't see it's gravity when it comes to helping kids learn about our history, science, math, reading. But to further his question, since he asked the silliness, I have to ask you, John, it's my final question. So if elected, would you then want to, Tim Walz, would you want to increase the amount of, say, tampon dispensers in men's bathrooms, the male gym and lockers, or not?
No, of course not. And any public official who would mandate that or spend your tax dollars on doing something like that should be publicly shamed and put on the internet for ridicule.
I'm moving back to Illinois after you get elected. I love it. Frankly, John, you all.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I just think why I'm not as concerned on the issue. So, I mean, those things.
Voice inflection.
I'm sorry, man. I let you used to, a few days ago, you were starting to like when I Stephen Hawking monotone voice. But, anyways, so basically, I just see cultural wars as completely unproductive as to majority of Americans, and that's essentially the way I see all these things. Not saying that they don't matter, it's just to me, like my priorities list with individuals, I'm much more
would you say that the now is a compression of the past and the future, Necro, or is now just a culmination of the past?
Yeah, there's no such thing as history in the future. The future isn't called history. The past is what is always history.
Understand, did you have a question for the campaign to elect John Kitover to Congress for the 16th District of Illinois?
I'm just wondering. I go to the neighborhood about the issue. Right.
You wanted to ask a Negro about the history?
The neighborhood. I'm not.
Lay on me.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. The Russia and U.S. was allied over to, but now, as the media and also as the enemies and Japan, right? Japan and U.S. fought a lot during World War II, but now they are celebrating World War II and World War II together. It's really bizarre.
So, yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that's, you think about history. It's actually a picture of Stalin and FDR and Winston Churchill. It's a picture of pushing each other because, essentially, we can't find the White House because the idea of us, the fact that we used to be friends with Stalin, or we were allies with Stalin. The idea of my enemies, my friend, doesn't age really well, or at least in U.S. politics. So.
Okay, so this has been a money bomb for the campaign to elect John Kitover. I thank everybody who has donated. We're going to do a quick summary total here of how much we have raised today. And it's August 12th, 2025, Tuesday. Just a Tuesday.
And this is just day one of it having the campaign website up, correct?
Correct. This is just day one, and we're only a few hours into having the website. And actually, you pushed me to do it, Mojo, because when I saw that you scheduled this room and I hadn't actually, worked on the Antidote website, I immediately got into action. I said, I'm not going to waste this moment and have nothing set up. So I immediately sprang into action. So thank you for creating the environment to make this happen.
Can we get a total?
Sure. Last amount was $20 from Serendipity at 9:28, 11 minutes ago. $5 from CJ Lyman. 20 from Erez Aarons. 20 from Jania Davis. So let's do the total here. 45, 65, 85, 90, 95, 195, 295, 395, 405 total since 6 o'clock.
4:05, and we started this a little while ago. I wonder if in the next 20 minutes, because I like to have like a fun room and unwind and allow people to get back to what they were doing. I wonder if the people that have not given, if somebody could just reach into their pocket, get us that $95 that we need to get there. Maybe you don't have $95. Maybe you could put $9.50, and that would get us 10% of the way. Or maybe you could put $19. That would be 20% of the way. These are just math equations. I don't know how you can. You can put $1. You can put $3.50. These are all amounts that are in your control. The first thing you have to do is you have to say a prayer. Then you have to click the link up above, and then you have to just go ahead and fill out the little form. We'll get that money over into John's little pockets, and then we'll get some people knocking doors, get him on the ballot. Next thing you know, John will be able to take these messages about lowering the debt for you and your family to all the way to Congress, all the way to Washington. So $95 I'd like to see us get $95 more and get that up to 500 because John has said that he would match it. So if we can get to 500, this will be 1,000 for day one. That's a nice little threshold to me, and it's a small price to pay for freedom. So if anybody that hasn't given yet, or if you have given and you realize that like, wow, I probably should have given more.
Hey,
There's
Chat,
nothing about
got
it.
it. We just did it. We made it, I think. It's $95.
What the fuck? Oh,
Is that right,
shit.
John?
John, can you do that? Add it up because we'll celebrate, and maybe we'll even bring Mike up. I don't even know if we've ever heard his voice.
Wow, Mike Seltzer, congratulations, $95 right now. So we're at 500.
Boom. I'd like to call that a success. John, thanks for setting us free. Mike, thanks for helping to set us free. $1 at a time. $95 in your case. Awesome. Awesome. And there's no reason why you can't give more if if somebody, like, let's say you don't get paid until Friday. That's fine. Friday, that website will still be working. Go ahead and save that to your history, and then you click on that on Friday once you get paid. That money gets in your account. You go ahead and click his account. Go ahead and wire the money over. We're going to build this dollar by dollar, brick for brick, and what's going to happen when he gets elected is he's going to take dollars out of the budget, return them to the pockets of the people that have donated to him. So please consider prayerfully donating to John Kitover. But we're going to go ahead and switch gears here. John, do you have any parting words before we close this room up? We'll open a new room. We'll just have a bunch of fun. We'll talk. We'll laugh. We'll love. This will be great.
Yeah, thank you, Mojo. Without you, none of this would have been possible. And to everyone here who has given money, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I will use it as efficiently and cost effectively as possible to get on this ballot in March and spread more communication about freedom, intelligence, health, wealth, love, and joy. And this is your campaign. So, come to these rooms and join all these other clown house rooms. Get activated. The time is now, and not many people are talking about this. I worked with Ron Paul in his campaign when I lived in California back in maybe 2012 when he was running, and I have a great photo with him, and I contributed as much as I could as possible at the time to his campaign because I really believed in what he was saying, which is stop borrowing, stop spending, end the forever wars. It's not our job to be military police around the world and do nation building and spend hundreds of trillions or spend hundreds of billions of dollars doing that. So, I believe in peace and meditation now, and we have to be very strategic and intelligent going forward. Otherwise, we're going to we're putting ourselves in a totally unsustainable death spiral in the same way that the Weimar Republic experienced price increases every 2 to 3 days. So we have to be fiscally prudent, conservative in our spending, and that's the message I want to bring to the people in the District of 16. God bless you, Mojo. God bless everyone in this room. Thanks for listening to me, and I hope you all have a great evening.
That's amazing. And just remember, vote Kitover. Problem's over.
Great. Hey, fill out the forms, John. All right, here's what's
Alright, I'm going to go ahead and end this room, but I'm going to open a new one for those that want to get together and have some laughs. Have a good night.
Okay, good night, everybody. Click the link above or go to John for Congress. I do appreciate you all for being here. Thanks so much.
Yeah, you forgot to.
Okay, Cindy.
Okay, so.
$500 in an hour and 32 minutes. Okay, go to John for Congress. Thanks, everybody.